Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. And maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney. I've gotten a ton of requests for this one, which makes sense because it's an amazing, classic, piano-driven song. Let's jump in. All right, so first off, I do recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description that'll help you follow along and see where the chords and lyrics line up with each other. I'm gonna start out with the intro. Here are the chords for that, and we're gonna start by just focusing on this measure of A here. So the A is going to be like this. It's gonna be A, C sharp. I know it's saying D flat. Technically it should be C sharp, and E here. And I'm doing octaves in my left hand, an octave lower. So A here and A down here. Throughout this song, if you can't stretch the octaves, you could totally just do a single bass note. And we're in 4/4 time. Most measures in the song get 4 counts, and we're going to be playing the right hand just on every one of those counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just practice getting in the groove here, because there's another detail for the left hand where the top octave that you're doing with your first finger is also going to hit on the 8th notes between the right hand hits, thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So just looping around that measure of A to get the hang of the playing pattern we're going to use all through the song. I do want to mention, depending on which mix you listen to, the song starts either with the audio fading in on that first A hit or after it. So even though I believe Paul played all 4 counts of this A, on the recording it often sounds like it's just 1, 2, 3 before going to the next chord. So if you prefer it that way, you can do it like that. Let's keep going. So the next chord is going to be this D over F sharp. So I'm going down to these F sharp octaves down here. I've got my first finger on F sharp, second finger on A, 5th finger on D here. And that's just for half the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got this D minor over F. So in every case where we had an F sharp, it just moves down to F. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've got this E minor 7. We're gonna keep the D on top and just move this whole shape down here to the E, G, and D. E octaves down here. 1, 2. We can think of this as a measure of just 2/4 time before we land back on this sort of open-ended A, where he kind of messes around like that, and we lose the sense of the meter for a minute. So when you get to that A, you can voice it just like we did at the beginning of the line. Just let it hold for a sec, then bring your left hand up to copy exactly what the right hand is doing on all 3 of those notes, and you're just gonna kind of climb up one note at a time from the bottom to the top, and then it's a little hard to hear everything. It just sounds like he's just messing around a little bit. So definitely climbing up, and then just have fun with just hitting some of those notes. And then whenever you're ready, it's gonna launch in to the verse. So let me just play that whole intro one more time, and then we'll get into the verse. Cool, and one thing I didn't mention is when you do get to that A at the end of the line, he does a little kind of strum, just quickly hitting all the notes in an upward motion, kind of with a roll of the wrist. All right, let's do the verse. Here's the chords for the verses. We're gonna start with this B flat major chord. So B flat octaves down here, and then F, B flat, and D. So it's an inversion on a B flat. And that's just for 2 counts. We've got a lot of measures in these verses where it's 2 chords crammed into 1, so 2 counts each. 1, 2. Now we've got F over A. So we're just gonna collapse our right hand into just a root position, FAC, F major triad. And the left hand is stepping down to A. So that's gonna be Maybe I'm amazed at the way you... Now we're gonna go up to C. So of course, C octaves here. I'm gonna do G, C, E, again, an inversion. Love me all the time. So we've got this G over C. Just keeping the C in the left hand, and we can keep the right hand first finger on the G and just collapse the right hand down to a regular old root position, G, B, D, G major triad. Then we're right back to that same B flat, F over A, and then C. Although this time it doesn't go to the G over C. This is, of course, going to be that really cool walk up. We'll get to that in a second. And I did hit lower octaves on the C. It's a nice little touch there. Let me sing through that line one more time. And note, I am singing this whole song down an octave. It's a little high for my voice, and I can't quite pull it off. So I think that sounds better. But we've got... Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. Maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. Okay, I know you're hearing it. This part is really fun. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. Here's what it sounds like. So this is a chromatic scale. A chromatic scale is when you just move from one note to the very next note, just all half steps. And there's a really particular way that we finger chromatic scales. And once you get it in your muscle memory, you got it, but it takes a little work. So for the most part, first finger is gonna hit white keys, third finger is gonna cross over and hit black keys. So 1, 3, 1, 3. The only exception is whenever we have two white keys in a row. Instead of putting our first finger down, we're gonna do 2, 1, and then when you have white, black, we can continue the 1, 3 thing. So from C all the way up to B flat, that's where we're going here. 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and then 3, although when you get to the B flat, that is starting that over again. So when I get there, I'm just gonna probably jump back to the octaves. To time this, we need to think in 16th notes, so we're dividing the beats in 4, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. On beat 1 of that measure, of course, that's where we hit the chord. Sometimes, not always, but you can throw it in, he'll hit another C on beat 2, like 1, 2. The fast chromatic scale starts on the and after 2, and then from there on out, it's all 16th notes. 1, 2, and a 3E, and a 4E, and a 1. So it works out perfectly. Note the first note on the and after 2, after just doing a few kind of C hits, when you start the scale, it is also a C. And the there is where you do the first step up. 1, 2E, and a 3E, and a 4E, and a boom. You could do that, but I really recommend you take your time to get this in your muscle memory. Also, it still sounds cool even if you end up slowing down a little bit from your main tempo. It just kind of feels like you're dragging it out. On some performances, Paul McCartney slowed down a little bit. Let's look at the next line. Of course, we're gonna start on that B flat, F over A, and then kind of same thing here, except this time it's a G over B. So just like what we did before in the right hand, but the left hand is gonna step down to the B. B flat, F over A. Now I love this part. We have this A flat. So I'm just gonna come down to the A flat octaves here. A flat, C, and E flat, just a root position, A flat, major chord. E flat over G. So we are doing an inversion there, so we can keep that fifth finger on the E flat. Just come down here, first and second finger on G and B flat, coming down to the G octaves, of course, and then landing on C. And this is gonna be building to the chorus. When you get to that C, you can sort of start pulsing some eighth notes. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and you could even throw in a couple 16th notes. It doesn't do it the same way every time. You just wanna build some energy. I'm gonna play and sing through that whole verse. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. And maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. And maybe I'm amazed at the way you pulled me out of time, hung me on the line. Maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Now we're in the chorus. Here's the chords for the chorus. The first chord out is going to be this D major chord. So D octaves here, and then A, D, and F sharp here. It's an inversion on a D in the right hand. Let's just hang out on that D for a sec, because the playing style of the chorus is a little bit bouncier and groovy. I'm just going to be bouncing eighth notes in the left and right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and kind of accenting 1 and 2, so accenting the downbeats. So of course that D is only for 2 counts though. 1 and 2 and then A over D for doing the same rhythm. So just collapsing down into an A major chord like we did it before. I like you doing 1, 2, 4 there, just from coming off of that D. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now we just make that A chord an A minor chord by flatting down to C natural there. 1 and 2 and, okay, we have 2 more chords in this measure. So the A minor over D chord lasts the first half, 1 and 2 and then the C over D is going to be on beat 3, and the D over F sharp is going to be on beat 4. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to actually come up to a root position C major chord, C, E, G, 3 and then for this D over F sharp, I'm just going to hop up to a root position, D major chord, D, F sharp, A. And I'm going to do this F sharp bass note that's sort of conveniently between the octaves I'm doing. I'm only going to do one of them. I'm not going to do the whole octave. So it just makes it a little easier here. 3 and 4 and, so from the beginning of that measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's of course leading into this G that we have for a full measure. And we'll often slide on this B flat. It makes it a little bluesy sounding. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now we have this other really fun piano thing in this song. So I said D, there's an asterisk on it. D because we've got this D bass note here. I'm doing really low octaves there. And then, it's such a funky sounding chord. We've got a F and an F sharp, so we just get that dissonant rub there, and a D on top. And he does this a little different every time in terms of the rhythm. Overall, you can do whatever kind of combination of 16th notes you want. 1E and a 2E and a 3E, but he'll often leave space. Da 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 da. I think he's just kind of improvising it. One rhythm that comes up a lot that you can kind of think through is doing 2 16th notes in the right, then 1 in the left. 2, like. But you can take it slow, but just play around with it, and that lasts for a measure before you kind of repeat around same thing again. So the next line is going to be, baby, I'm a man, and maybe you're the only woman who could ever help me. Baby, won't you help me to understand? Ooh. So this part is a lot like what we learned in the intro. So we go to that D over F sharp, to the D minor over F sharp. Rhythmically, it switches on the and after 2. So like 1, 2, and 3, 4. And he sort of just pulses light 8th notes in the right hand. You can just kind of feel it out. So it goes to that D minor over F, an 8th note earlier than it would. And then we've got that E minor 7, just for 2 counts, to this A7. For the A7, you can voice it just like we were doing the A, but with the thumb drop down to the G, and just, it hits on beat 3 of that measure if we're thinking of the E minor 7 and the A7 in the same measure. 3, and then he does do this little arpeggio, E and a 4, E and a So you can imagine taking that left hand up into a regular A major shape like we did in the intro. And then with just these 3 notes, he does it a, 4, E, and a. So just going up, back down. But as long as you get that general rhythm, you could totally, it doesn't have to be that exact pattern that he happened to play on this piano take. Let me play and sing through that whole chorus. Baby, I'm a man, maybe I'm a lonely man who's in the middle of something that he doesn't really understand. Baby, I'm a man, maybe you're the only woman who could ever help me. Baby, won't you help me to understand? Ooh. So it's gonna slam right into that main verse progression there coming out of the chorus, and that is the first guitar solo section. Here's the chords for that. It's literally just a verse. So after that solo section, we just continue to have sections that you've already learned. It's kind of a long structure. We have another chorus, just like the other chorus, then another verse, just like the first verse with different lyrics. Then we have this interlude section, which is essentially a chorus, although I want to talk about the ending of that section. So here's the chords for that. Like I said, you're doing a chorus, but there's no singing besides, oh, oh, yeah. Some ad-lib wordless vocals that you can throw in if you like. But in the last line, when you get to the D over F sharp, D minor over F, then this works kind of like it did in the intro. You can just sort of 1, 2, and then just kind of let your sense of timing slow down and stop here a little bit. Hit that A chord. You could do the A7 if you like. It sounds like the piano does the A, but the organ does the A7. So up to you, but then I'm gonna do that same arpeggio of just every note of the chord left to right. And then I'm even going to go up an octave and do the same thing up here. Sustain pedal really helps with making that smooth. You can let it hang in the air a little bit. Then we've got another solo section, just like the first solo section. It's a verse chord progression. Then how to end the song, because on the recording it fades out. After that solo, it goes back to another chorus section, another wordless chorus. And it starts fading out pretty quickly here. And I think I'm gonna just end it on a D here. Or you can do the low octaves there. If you want to play around going a little deeper into the chorus chord progression and maybe try fading out, you could do that as well. But I'm gonna end the song here on the D. I think that sounds nice and final. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I am now gonna do a full playthrough and sing through so you can see how all these different parts fit together. Again, I'm singing it an octave lower, but this is the original key. So if you can sing it in Paul McCartney's register, awesome. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. Okay, here's my version of Maybe I'm Amazed. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. And maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you pulled me out of time. You hung me on a line. Maybe I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Baby, I'm a man, maybe I'm a lonely man who's in the middle of something that he doesn't really understand. Baby, I'm a man, maybe you're the only woman who could ever help me. And baby, won't you help me Baby, I'm a man, maybe I'm a lonely man who's in the middle of something that he doesn't really understand. Baby, I'm a man, maybe you're the only woman who could ever help me. Baby, won't you help me to understand? Maybe I'm amazed at the way you're with me all the time. And maybe I'm afraid of the way I leave you. Maybe I'm amazed at the way you help me sing my song. You right me when I'm wrong. Maybe I'm amazed at the way I read.